Hello, it's Chris from My Stamp Lady, and I'm here today to show you a few things you can do with your ink pads other than just stamping a straight image and your ink refill. So that's what we're going to do with this card, and this card is made with the Bubble Over stamp set. And I've also used the coordinating Bottles and Bubbles framelits dies, which can be found in Stampin' Up's annual catalog, the 2018-2019 annual catalog. Okay, so I'm going to set these aside because I'm going to be using some different things, and I'll also talk about each product as I use it. The first thing we're going to do, though, is start off with that ink and how I got this background, this softer yellow background. The first thing I did is I used one of Stampin' Up's Stampin' Spritzers. I put in crushed curry, and I put in usually about 10 to 12 drops, and then I added to the Stampin' Spritzer some of the high isopropyl alcohol, and I mixed it together to fill up my entire tube here. So I've been using it, so it's gone down a little bit, and I thought I could get a little more out of here before I refilled it. So I just put a little label on there that this is for crushed curry. I'm going to cover up all of my workspace here with a bigger paper. And after you've mixed together the alcohol and the ink refill, the reason I've used the rubbing alcohol is because it dries more quickly than water. So I spritz it first of all. I do a little test there, because otherwise I always end up spritzing my face. And let's just spritz my cardstock. I could have used crushed curry cardstock, but if I would have done that, my cardstock would have been a lot darker than I wanted it to be. So I like using the spritzer bottles when I want a lighter colored background, but the same shade. So this is crushed curry, which coordinates with the colors I'm using here, but it's going to be a little softer. So I'm going to set this aside and let that dry while I move on and do some of my other things with my ink. Okay, so from this die set, I'm going to be using my Big Shot. And I'm first of all going to take my magnetic platform and bring it in. I have an acrylic plate, a well-used one, as you can see here. And I'm putting my Whisper White cardstock on there. I want a small bottle and I want a large bottle. So I'm going to run those through at the same time. As long as my dies are not overlapping, I can run them through. If my dies overlap, though, you'll ruin your dies. So make sure that they have plenty of space to work here. Okay, so now I have my lemon lime twist straw, a calypso coral straw, and then I also have my label. I try to run through as many things as I can in one pass. Just makes things go a little more quickly. So now let's put on the other acrylic plate. I'm going to set this aside, just make a little more space here. And then I will bring in the Big Shot. You can use any die cutting machine that will take these plates. I like the Big Shot. It has a lot of versatility. And since I moved down here, I just want to make sure that my pieces are still over their paper. Okay, so now let's run that through. Okay, so I've run this through, and now you'll see this little piece here. And what this piece does, it has the two little slots so that I can get my ribbon through it. And you can run it through at the same time if it lines up, correctly. And of course, you can also run it through if you use a piece of tape to hold it in place. I just decided to run it through in a separate pass because that way I can control a bit more where I put it. Okay, so let's line that up into that center space. The magnetic platform does do a good job of holding the dies in place, the metal dies. However, sometimes because there's little round magnets inside or just the way it goes, if you have a curve to your plate, it might move a little bit. So taking a little piece of washi tape like that or masking tape, painter's tape, will hold that in place. Let me run this through the Big Shot. Okay, so now I can remove that die, and you could see that it punched out the little spaces for my ribbon. So now I'm going to use my Bermuda Bay ink. I could have stamped this ahead of time, but I've decided to stamp it second. I'm using a Stampin' Pierce pad. I'm placing that underneath here, and that will just give me a little more cushion with these photopolymer sets. And because they're photopolymer, I decided, well, I think I'm just going to stamp this second or after it's been die cut, because it's easy to see where you're stamping. So I can set that aside. Now I'm bringing in, this is that piece of spritzed background paper that I had, that Whisper White background paper. And I'm going to use the bubbles and the Bermuda Bay ink and just stamp a background with the bubbles. Get some interest, and it's coordinates with that background. This is when I'm starting to stamp, when I did 20 years ago. This is one of the techniques that I used often, was to take an image and to stamp it repeatedly across your back or your background. One thing you do want to do is hang off the edge, because that makes your pattern look like it's going to keep going and it doesn't stop right at the edges. Now I have Calypso Coral ink, and I am going to take in the May Your Day Bubble Over with Happiness stamps image. And we'll just stamp that right at the bottom here. And this is my background. And you can see, because I spritzed that cardstock, how nice and soft I have that background. I love it. I've pulled back in my bottles, and with the sponge dauber, and the first bottle is going to be the Calypso Coral, I will take and ink up that dauber just by tapping it onto my ink pad, and I'm going to use a circular motion and just color my soda bottle here with the Calypso Coral. Okay, so done that, and my smaller bottle is going to be Lemon Lime Twist, so I'll take a different sponge dauber and we will do the same thing. And this is another use for your ink pads. It is a great way to add color when you don't want to stamp it with something in particular, just to sponge it and get that color right on there. So in this video, I've done spritzing and sponging. I'm also going to take my Wink of Stella, because I want a little bit of shimmer to my bottle, and I'm going over the portion that I've sponged with color. You could go over the whole bottle if you wanted to. You can see a little bit of the ink is going to pull where I've gone. So now I'll move to the Calypso Coral, and let's add a little bit of Calypso Coral. And the reason that ink is going up onto the neck there where I've gone over it is because it's a water-based ink, and this is the Wink of Stella is water-based, so it'll pull a little bit of that ink. You can just get any ink off of it by rubbing it on scrap paper like that. So I can let that dry. Okay, actually I think I'm going to just fold my scrap paper in half here so I don't get any ink on anywhere that I don't want it. I have a half a sheet of Bermuda Bay. It's cut in half the long way, so it's 4 1/4 by 11 inches, scored at 5 1/2 inches, and then folded. And right onto there, I'm going to put this background, because my ribbon is going to go around the entire front of the card, so I don't have to worry about that. Let's place that down. And this is just a bit smaller. All of the measurements are on my website, mystamplady.com. You can find the link to the blog post in the description below if you're watching this on YouTube. And let's put that over. I'm going to turn that over and just give it a rub from the back. I find if I do that, I don't have to worry about getting as much ink or getting ink that might be on my finger somewhere in the place I don't want it. Okay, so let's take that bottle, and I've got a silicone mat here because that adhesive is going to overhang that straw, and so I'm just going to place that over it, rub it down and on there, and because it's on the silicone mat, it will just come right off of there. And I've already put the straw on my Calypso Coral bottle. Let's pull this back in there, and then you can decide where you want your bottles, and I'm going to add a little more of the snail adhesive here to the back just so that more of it will stick down. And let's place that down and put my Lemon Lime Twist bottle. Okay, so now this is actually our Bermuda Bay mini chevron ribbon, which right now, so this is January of 2019, is on our clearance rack. So it is discontinued from our regular catalog, but it's still available at an awesome price on the clearance rack, and it coordinates so well with this that I decided that I was going to pull what I had left out and use it. So now let's just that's where I want my label there. And so I'll just hold that kind of where I want that, pull it over, and I'm just going to double tie a knot. I'm not going to worry about a bow here. And I love it when I can get great deals on the clearance rack. So if you go to my online store, you can go to shopwithmystamplady.com and check on clearance rack and see what specials are there right now. And I know as of my filming that this Bermuda Bay ribbon was still there at an awesome price. Okay, so let's just line that up. There we go. And I have my card front. So to finish this off, I'm using some of the glitter enamels. Dots. Now these dots are actually Granny Apple Green and not the Lemon Lime Twist, but I thought once I got them on there, they looked pretty good. So I'm going to use our Take a Pick tool, which I love this tool, and I love the spatula end here. And I'm going to use the second largest glitter dot. I like to kind of pick them up from the background and kind of push down the plastic. And that way, when I do that, I know I'm not going to leave the adhesive behind. And then let's take the smallest, one of the smallest glitter enamel dots and go underneath and pull that just right over there. And that just kind of brings your eye around that bottle. So that is my bubble over card, a nice little thank you card. Tell me what you think about that spritzed background. I love the color. I love that it's lighter. You can see the stamping through it, and it's so easy and dries quickly. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me, Chris@mystamplady.com. All the supplies, you can find them in my online store at shopwithmystamplady.com, and they're listed below in the description. Be sure to subscribe to my channel and ring the bell if you'd like notification of when I put up a new video. Thanks for watching and enjoy your day.